What if I told you Napoleon Bonaparte, one of the most powerful leaders in history, was afraid of cats? The man who commanded armies, who fought battles that changed the course of history, had a fear of the feline kind. But let's start from the beginning. Napoleon Bonaparte, born in Corsica, a small island off the coast of Italy, was not always destined for greatness. He came from a family of minor nobility and was sent off to France for education at the tender age of 9. Despite facing linguistic and cultural barriers, Napoleon exhibited a keen intellect and a fiery ambition. His exceptional skills and strategic acumen led him through the ranks of the French military at a pace that was nothing short of extraordinary. By the age of 26, Napoleon had already become a brigadier general, and by the time he was 30, he had seized political power in France in the coup of 18th Brumaire. It wasn't long before he crowned himself as emperor, a position he held with an iron fist for over a decade. His leadership was marked by sweeping reforms, ambitious campaigns, and a relentless pursuit of power. But amidst all this grandeur and might, there was a peculiar fear that Napoleon harbored: ailurophobia, the fear of cats. It's said that he would even go into fits of hysteria at the sight of a cat. This fear, seemingly out of place in the life of such a formidable leader, adds an interesting facet to his complex character. It's these intriguing aspects of Napoleon's life that make him more than just a historical figure. He was a man of contradictions, an emperor who came from humble beginnings. His life, filled with power, ambition, and peculiarities, continues to captivate us even today. Now, let's delve into some other lesser-known facts about this enigmatic emperor. Did you know that Napoleon had a passion for mathematics? The man known for his military genius and strategic prowess was also a keen mathematician. This might seem surprising, but when we delve into Napoleon's upbringing, it all starts to make sense. At the age of 9, Napoleon was enrolled in a military academy. It was here that his love for mathematics was kindled. He was not merely satisfied with understanding the surface of mathematical concepts, but delved deep into the heart of numbers, equations, and geometric principles. He found solace in the logic and precision of mathematics, a stark contrast to the chaotic world of politics and war that he would later immerse himself into. His mathematical flair undoubtedly contributed to his tactical genius on the battlefield, and his ability to calculate odds and outcomes with uncanny accuracy. Contrary to popular belief, Napoleon was not exceptionally short. This misconception stems from a simple misunderstanding between two measurement systems. You see, in French measurements, Napoleon was recorded as standing 5 feet 2 inches tall. However, the French foot, or pied de roi, was longer than the English foot. To put this into perspective, a French foot was about 1.066 English feet. So, when we convert Napoleon's height to English measurements, we find that he was actually about 5 feet 7 inches tall, which was quite average, even slightly above average for Frenchmen of his era. Misinterpretations of historical documentation, coupled with the natural human tendency to exaggerate, led to the widespread myth that Napoleon was a short man. It's funny how such a small misunderstanding can cast such a large shadow over a man's legacy. So in reality, Napoleon was of average height for his time. Behind the battlefield, Napoleon was quite the romantic. When we peel back the layers of Napoleon Bonaparte, the formidable French military and political leader, we discover a man with a heart aflame for his first wife, Josephine de Beauharnais. Their love story, while complicated, was marked with passionate affection, particularly on Napoleon's part. Josephine, a widow and mother of 2, captured Napoleon's heart, and he was smitten from the start. He wrote her love letters that were touching and brimming with emotion. One such letter reads, "I awake full of you. Your image and the memory of last night's intoxicating pleasures has left no rest to my senses." His words painted a vivid picture of a man deeply in love, a side of Napoleon that contrasts sharply with his image as a ruthless leader. Yes, this fierce leader had a soft spot for his beloved. Napoleon had some peculiar habits. One of the most noticeable was his insistence on wearing his hat sideways. While this may seem like a minor eccentricity, it was a significant departure from the norms of his time. Most men wore their hats front to back, but not Napoleon. He preferred his hat positioned crosswise, a fashion statement that made him instantly recognizable. His idiosyncrasies didn't end with his wardrobe. Napoleon had a certain fondness for hot baths. His obsession was such that he would spend hours soaking in steaming water, sometimes even conducting meetings from his bathtub. It's been speculated that these long baths were his way of relaxing and escaping the pressures of ruling an empire. But these quirks weren't signs of a frivolous mind. Rather, they were facets of a complex personality that defied the conventional. Napoleon was a man of many contradictions, and his unusual habits were part of his allure. These habits made the emperor all the more intriguing. Napoleon's downfall is as fascinating as his rise to power. Indeed, the Battle of Waterloo was a turning point that marked the beginning of the end for the emperor. It was June 18, 1815, when Napoleon Bonaparte, the self-proclaimed Emperor of the French, met his match in an allied army led by the Duke of Wellington. The battle was brutal, and the losses immense. Napoleon's once invincible Grande Armée fell to the might of the Seventh Coalition, a defeat that marked the end of his rule as Emperor of the French. Following this crushing defeat, Napoleon was captured and exiled to the remote island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic. Gone were the days of grandeur and power. Instead, he found himself a prisoner, surrounded by miles of unforgiving ocean. His dreams of empire were replaced by a life of solitude and reflection. Yet even in exile, Napoleon's spirit remained unbroken. He spent his days writing his memoirs, recounting the glory of his reign, the battles he'd won, and the empire he'd built. His words painted a vivid picture of his life, a tale of ambition, power, and ultimately, downfall. His final years were spent in declining health. The once robust emperor was now a shadow of his former self, plagued by a mysterious illness that baffled his doctors. And on May 5, 1821, Napoleon Bonaparte, the man who had once held Europe in the palm of his hand, breathed his last. The cause of his death has been a subject of debate among historians. Some say it was stomach cancer, a condition that ran in his family. Others believe he was slowly poisoned with arsenic. Despite the uncertainty surrounding his death, one thing remains clear. Napoleon, the emperor, the general, the man, was no more. And thus, the reign of one of history's most influential leaders came to an end. His legacy, however, endures. For better or worse, Napoleon Bonaparte left an indelible mark on the world, a testament to the power of ambition, the allure of power, and the inevitable fall from grace. So, what did we learn about Napoleon today? We delved into the life of the enigmatic emperor, Napoleon Bonaparte, and found a mathematician hidden beneath the military uniform. It's fascinating to think that this leader of men found solace in the precise world of numbers and equations, a stark contrast to the chaos of the battlefield. Then we debunked a widespread myth about his height. Contrary to popular belief, Napoleon was not especially short. The confusion arose due to a difference in French and English units of measurement. He was of average height for his time, standing at about 5 feet 7 inches tall in English measurements. We also unearthed some fascinating details about Napoleon's love life. Despite his fiery and tumultuous relationship with Josephine, it's clear that he held a deep affection for her. Their letters, filled with passion, longing, and sometimes frustration, painted a vivid picture of their complex relationship. Our journey took us to some of the emperor's odd habits next. From his superstitious belief in lucky stars to his peculiar eating habits, where he preferred to eat alone and as quickly as possible, Napoleon was certainly a man of unique quirks. Finally, we explored the emperor's downfall. It's a sobering tale of hubris and overreach, a stark reminder that even the most powerful can fall. From his disastrous invasion of Russia to his final defeat at Waterloo, we saw the unraveling of a once invincible military mastermind. Each of these points paints a vivid and multifaceted portrait of Napoleon. Far from being just a military genius, he was a complex and intriguing individual with a life full of surprising twists and turns. And there you have it, 10 intriguing facts about the enigmatic Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte.